Patcher.
Hello, wonderful humans of Earth. I am Jimmy Trip, also known as Brainwave, or Brainwave, also known as Jimmy Trip, and today I'm going to make a video on how I've organized my plugins lately, because I desperately needed to organize my plugins, and it had been a long time. I'd been putting it off for, very long time, and I have lots of plugins, so if you'll notice from some of my past videos, I always had a very disorganized, cluttered, crazy plugin picker. I've kind of narrowed it down to this now, where it's like I have all these in the plugin picker, but I still have access to all my other plugins. By the way, if you're ever wanting to get rid of something from the plugin picker, like as a favorite, I know you can do that with the manage plugins over here, but you can also go to Smart Find and Smart Find a particular plugin, and then you can delete that plugin or just delete the delete file here. It won't get rid of the plugin though. It won't uninstall it. It will just get rid of it from the plugin picker. And so I think that's a very useful tool if you ever need it. And then if you ever want it again, you can go to manage plugins again here and then favorite it again, and it will appear in the plugin picker again. So what I've done here is I've actually gone into Patcher, and for the plugins that I don't have in the plugin picker anymore, I've gone here and made basically folders for all the individual things. So like I use Effectrix and Blue Glitch a lot, for example. If I go to channel 3 here, or if I go into the plugin picker first, you'll see they're not here. They're not anywhere to be found. If I go to F, it's just effector there. And then if I go to Blue, it's not showing up either. So easy way to find it now is I just know about the folder I've made. And because I have access to that folder, I just open up a patcher here now, and I can go ahead and drag this into that patcher. So it's cleaned it up a little bit and organized things a little bit in maybe a more unconventional way. This is very unconventional, and this isn't going to work for everybody. I understand that. In some instances, this could be harder to find things, so you never know. You'll have to try it for yourself and see. But basically, I have, from FL Studio going to FL Studio, and then you would just patch like that, or, you could have it go to Blue Glitch and then back to that, or you could go Blue Glitch to that, or Blue Glitch to Effectrix into that. And I mean, it's just very useful. It's very much a useful tool. I'm loving Patcher a lot. Like I've used it for years, but never to this extreme or to this new degree. So let's take this a step further now. Let's see my Waves plugins, because I use Waves plugins a lot. So I have different patches here, or different presets: compression and transient shaping, de-essing, harmonic enhancement and tonal change, denoising, distortion and saturation, equalizers, limiters, maximizers, harmonic exciters and mastering utilities, reverbs, depth and stereo enhancement, and Waves plugins patcher utility. This is the big one right here. This utility, if I drag it and drop it in here now, you'll notice I have none of my Waves plugins actually in the plugin picker. Instead, they're all in here. Let's make sure we smart disable this. That definitely helps. So here I have access to all of my Waves plugins. I know it looks really crazy right now. And I have all of this muted too. The reason I have all of these patches muted here, and why nothing's connected, and why Smart Disable is on, is because if you don't do all of that, you will actually run into some CPU issues, like some really crazy CPU spiking. I know right now it's at about 1920 there. It would be up to like 96 right now, like really benchmarking for the CPU. Like it would just be nuts at the moment if this wasn't this way. But let's say we want this to go into Abbey Road's chambers, and then after Abbey Road's chambers, we could just have it go into Saphira here. And then We could have Saphira go into, I mean, H comp if we wanted. And then maybe we could have H comp go back into kaleidoscope stereo. And then let's say, we want to have a limiter to finish it off here, or a maximizer even. So like just L2. Yeah, it's a very easy, and it looks complicated, but it's actually quite simple. It's a simple, fairly simple, easy to use way to set up a complex signal chain, because I know that nowadays in the mixer channels, individual mixer channels, you can go up to 12 now. You can go up to 12 insert effects, 12 effects, or 12 effects slots per channel. With this, you have limitless possibilities, and you can set up your chain however you want. And it's only using one mixer insert. Like if you see right here, it's only using one slot here in channel 3. So very, very nifty, a very handy tool, I should say. So let's go ahead and delete that now. As I said, I have narrowed this down. So let's see if we just want the waves equalizers. Now I have a preset just for that. And it shows all of the waves equalizers that I own. So it's very, very, very handy. Very helpful. The denoising here, it's very simple. It's just 2 plugins. I got the NS1 and X noise. And then again, Fruity Balance Knob for incoming gain input. And then that can go, wherever. And then that just goes back to FL Studio. So very simple. It's very, very simple to set up Patcher. I know a lot of people tend to struggle with it, or, we get intimidated by these new big things like this, and it can be hard to ever start doing something or start learning something just because of that. But I'm here to tell you it's actually fairly simple. Once you just know from FL Studio goes, to a plugin, and then the plugin goes back to FL Studio. But you have to make sure something is always going back to FL Studio and it's coming from FL Studio first. So let's see here. What else do we have? We have Glitch Machines plugins. I went ahead and put Cryogen, Hysteresis, and or Hysteresis, I don't know how to pronounce that, and Fracture into one. So now they're all easily accessible through one utility, a single utility. And that can go in any order. You could have Fracture go to Hysteresis and then back here, or into Cryogen and then back here, or, just any order you desire. It's really easy to set up sends this way too, like reverb sends and delay sends. So tons of possibilities, and it's cleaned up my plugin picker as a result too. Now I just have access to the plugins that maybe I couldn't categorize as well, or that I knew I was still going to use a lot, but were kind of hard to find before because they were buried under a lot of plugins that could be pretty much categorized into the same bundled up thing. So Analog Obsession plugins here. Let's see. By the way, these are free to download. The Analog Obsession Patreon page has all of these for free. It's incredible. Please support the developer though, because he's incredibly talented, and these are very, very nice plugins. Relife here, Love End. That's great low end, just low end harmonic enhancer. So yeah, I mean, you have access to all of it, and you can go ahead and hear. It's always important to first disable the main audio input. That's that right there, because if you want to go ahead and have it attached to something else, Like so far, this is going Relife or Tilta going back into Relife is now going back into this fruity balance knob that goes to FL Studio. But if you want more plugins after Relife, you would go here, disable the main input that's checked here. And now it's not patched. It's not connected. Now you won't get any sound. But if you want to go back into here, for example, let's say Tilta going into Relife is now going into Loveend, because Loveend is now routed into the main input here, the balance knob here at the end, it all works out. You will get sound now. So see what I mean? It's interesting. This is just the effects utilities I have set up in Patcher right now. You still need obviously a sound generator or some kind of sound source to go through this. In fact, if you want this free analog obsession patch for Patcher I made, I mean, go ahead and you can download it. I'll probably leave a link in the description. I'll try to leave a link in the description anyway. Yeah, I got one for Melda plugins here. All the Melda plugins I own. Unfiltered Audio, Spec Ops, Sandman, and Fault here. I got even one for just de-essing and compressing vocals. I mean, I've taken it as far as I can take it in terms of organization for better workflow, and it seems to work very well so far for me. Instruments. You can even set up instruments this way. Here's a sound font utility. And the cool thing is here in the surface section here, you can set up ADSR, like, attack, decay, sustain, and release for your synth or sampler or sound generator, whatever of choice. And B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, and B6 just stand for the bands of an equalizer. So the equalizer I'm using here is F6 by Waves. And so all of these bands here, those bands are routed to these knobs. And I have one set up individually for each instance of just Scola, which is a sound font player that I absolutely love. It's this sound font player. It's absolutely crazy. So 3 of those. Oops. Oh, I almost unpatched that patch thing, that patch cable, whatever. SF1, FS2, or SF2, SF3. They're all going into their own individual EQs. The cool thing about this is if now, let's say you want to just add reverb to only just like one of these, but not all of them, you can do that easily. Because let's say we have reflex here now. SF1, Jescola 1 is going to go into reflex and back into the F6 there. And you can equalize, like set up your equalizing and EQ and process the instance that has the reverb individually and separately from the other 2 instances of Jescola. And let's say maybe you want to add saturation to the reverb afterwards. No problem. You just can go ahead and do that. Bada bing, bada boom, back into FL Studio at the end. So chain order does matter. Chain order matters. You got to make sure you're paying attention when you're doing this too, because it's easy to kind of mess this up sometimes. I have messed this up several times. But in terms of patching, and I want to make a more in-depth tutorial actually at some point on setting up knobs and stuff in the surface of Patcher, because it's crazy what all you can do. These are all just patched parameters of the ADSR of these 3, and then the bands of the equalizers for all 3, and then the frequency knob here of all 3. So all of those go back into here. And I actually also set up the glide knobs. So the portamento, right there, portamento time of each knob is also synced to glide here. So that's an example of kind of creating, I guess, an instrument utility in Patcher, and it can get even more complex than that. I mean, you can like, I went ahead at one point and set up a one for Vital. Like Vital is a free wavetable synthesizer VST, and it's absolutely insane. I would check it out definitely because it's free. And let's see here. This, I have 3 instances of Vital, and then Harmor here. Harmor is just giving a little bit more low mid harmonics. And then this Vital here, I should have named all this, but this is just sub right here with some attack going on, and also pitch attack envelope. This is the lower mid stereo elements going on for the sound. Then this is the higher end harmonics, but it's going back into its own reverb send right here, which is just ambient reverb, and it's amazing. It's free. And then that all goes back into barrier here at the end, which is some pretty crazy saturation going on in the newfangled saturate here. So yeah, I mean, you can come up with any combination possibility of things that you can come up with in your head. It's all up to you. So hopefully you got something out of this video. Hopefully this kind of organization tool or utility, like this trick or this technique, could maybe help someone, especially if you're like me and you just never organize your plugins and you need to after a long time, especially after accumulating something like over 1,000 plus plugins. This definitely helped me to clean up my plugin picker while also still being able to have access to these plugins easily. And another way, if you ever just need a quick plugin without wanting to load up Patcher, you could always go to SmartFind too, and you'll be able to find it, like F6 by Waves. Boom, it's right here now. Well, that's the mono one, but this was in my recent files. There's still a way to find the stereo one too. But yeah, anyway, I hope this video helped. Smash that like button and subscribe if you want to see more content related to this and just more stuff. So yeah, with that, I'm going to end the video here, and let me know if you have any creations of your own in Patcher. Well, let me know in the comments. I mean, I would love to hear what you've done or see what you've done in terms of utilities, and like, I just want to know how Patcher is helping you. So yes, peace.